Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, according to time set. And let me know whether the screen is visible or not so that we can start. We'll take a decision according to that. Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, according to time set. And give me 1 minute. We'll start the session. Just waiting. Can you please confirm whether I am audible and the screen is visible to you or not so that we will start today's session. Okay, I hope we'll wait 1 more minute and then we'll start. Okay, no problem. We'll start now. So yesterday, basically, we have covered subqueries and then correlated subquery. So today we will cover derived tables, variables, and store procedure. So it is very important these derived tables, variables, and store procedures. Like everywhere you will get these stuff in your organization or in your if you are working at the back end, meaning that if you are working on a database, then you may encounter these objects in your day-to-day life. So so sometimes this derived table is called a table expression, okay, and this derived table is a table expression that is a virtual result table derived from a query expression. So yesterday we have checked like just a minute. Okay. So yesterday we have derived a result from a subquery. Okay, we have executed the internal inner subquery and then we have passed the result to outer subquery and we'll get the result. In case of the derived table, it's similar as subquery. You can say this is again a part of subquery itself. So derived table appears in the from clause, whereas the subquery appears in the where clause. Okay, so and like derived table appears in the from clause of query like any other table, and the scope of the existence of a derived table is the outer query scope only. So you cannot execute the outer query independently if you have a derived table. And the general syntax is select then column list from, then again there will be a one more inner statement, inner select statement, and then this statement has an alias. This is called as a table name. So you may have like here one select statement, and that is called the inner table, whereas the outer table is called derived table. So this the inner part is work as a table for the result of the inner statement, right? This inner SQL statement work as a result or table for this outer query. So let me go on SSMS and I will show you uh, one example. So prior to that, let me cover few more points. That derived table is a completely virtual table. Okay, meaning that it is not exist in a database. For example, you know that this in Adventure Works database, right, or in TSQL database, these tables are these are physically exist, but the derived table is not physically exist. We close this one, and like yeah, so the outer query, right, and the inner one are merged together, and when like if you look at the plan, uh, in case of the derived table, these plans are merged together. So while writing a derived table, uh, the table name should be there. Okay, a derived table must be a valid table name. Therefore, it must follow certain rules. For example, uh, the derived tables, each and every column should have a name, and the column name should be unique. And the order by clause is not allowed in derived table. That is in the inner table. And if you want to use a order by, in that case, you have to use a you have to use a top keyword. Let me show you one example. So let me switch to SQL database. Now we know that we have a sales order table. Okay, so let me select few data from this table. Sales dot orders. Okay, let me select star only. Now you know that there is a order date, right? So where it is here, it is the order date, and now what I want order date and order year and the count of distinct customers. So how can I write a query to get a year from order date? Year is a function, order then date, and as order year, right? So and then what I want a count of distinct customer. So to get a count of distinct customer, write distinct, then the cust ID, as you can mention total customers. Okay, now if I execute this query, I will get an error. STID. Okay, there is one. Okay, now if I use this order by rate, it order here right here in group by, let me use this one because this here is part of uh, this is not part of any or aggregate function, so we have to use this part in group by. So what I will do, I will use this order here, and will execute this query. We'll get an error. Let's see. So invalid column name order here. So why we are getting this column name as invalid, meaning that is in SQL Server, right? This operation happens like first the from clause will be executed. Then if there is any where clause or if there is any inner join, sorry, if there are any joins, then these joins will be executed, and then on conditions, and then where, and then group by having, and at last. Select and then order by. So here first it will try to get the data from the sales order, and then it will try to group by based on this order here, but this order here is not present. So this order here will be created once this group by is processed. Okay, so in this case the order here is not a valid column. But now what I don't want to use, like I know that I can use this function. Okay, and I can execute this query, you will get the result. See, you will get the result. But what I don't want that part. And my next thing is what I want those like those years where total customer count is greater than 75 or 67. Okay, so how can I achieve? So there is one thing by using derived column or derived table, not derived column, derived table. You can exit. So the syntax, you can see the syntax is first inner select statement. Okay, so this is our inner query. Now what I want the outer query. So to get the outer query, right, select, then sorry, select, then uh, from clause, and I can put this statement as inner, this whole statement, right? The whole statement I can put as a inner query or inner table to this table. Now instead of taking count here, what I will do, I will only get the customer IDs from here, and what I will do, I will only take a customer IDs instead of the count. I will take the count later. Now this is my derived table, and you should have a name to the derived table. So I will put this as D for derived table. So I will put D. And now here I am getting error. Okay. So I can now, like instead of using here order date function, okay, I can use this because, and then I can use instead of the customer ID, we'll just put customer ID here. Uh, then we'll put here only customer ID. We'll get the count here as count of this customer ID, right? Count of customer ID. We want the distinct count, right? Distinct count of customer ID, that is total customers. Now, now I can use a order here. Okay, let me execute this one. See here, what, like now there, though there is no order here column in this table, right? Let me show that first to you. Sales orders, and execute this one. So there is no order here, right? We have just derived that column using this statement, this function here and order here. Now I want to do a group by based on this order here. So I can use this order here because what it will does, this inner SQL statement will execute first, and then it will pass the result of this table. That is, it will pass all these results to this table, to this D table. Okay, it's on fly table. It is not physically present here in database, and we can execute this query. See, we are getting the same result. So this is called a derived table. And now if you want to do like any certain operations, for example, now what I want only like years where the total customer count is greater than uh, like 70 or 75. Here in case if I put 75, then I will get it. Let me use this here. So this D is a table name, and this total customer, right? This is part of this table and not the internal table. Uh, yeah, we can use it. No, we can't use it. This one here. Okay. Then you can use like having this distinct customer count greater than 70, and you can execute. See, you will get only 2007 and 8 record. Let me execute this. You are getting it, but now I don't want to use this one again. Okay, what I want to use a where clause. So again, like on top of this derived table, I can create one more derived table. Okay, now instead of writing the column names, what I will do, I will use a select star from, then again I will put this as dd, where now instead of using having clause here, what I am doing, I am using this total here, because now for this table, right, or for this dd table, these total customers are already calculated. That inner part is first executed, this part first executed, and on top of that, this query will execute, and it will pass the result to here. Like you can see, it will pass this result to this dd table. Okay, and you can use here greater than 17. Let's just execute this query. So this is nothing but a derived column. Like if you want to do certain operations, then like on fly operations, these tables are used. So there is one more thing I would like to let you know, that like if you haven't passed the column name, okay, to a table, or if you have uh, if you remove the column name, then you will get an error. Let's see, because no column name was specified for a column one of D table. So this is the D table. So you have to pass a column name. If you are not passing column name here, then you can pass column name here also, like total customer, and then you can pass this here. So either you can pass here, you can mention a as keyword, and you can uh, use sorry, order here was the column name. So you can execute the query. See, so you can pass here the column names here, or you can even pass here. So it's always good to pass the column names here, and there is no impact at all. Like you can pass either here or here, like uh, immediately after the column name, by mentioning the as keyword. It is not required to mention the as keyword, but it's a good practice. And like when it is more readable, like if someone, you wrote the code and someone is looking at the code, it is easy for him or her to understand the code. Okay, this is all about derived table. Let me check. Can I show you other examples also of the derived tables? Okay, So, and even like there is one more thing. If you want to do a join based on this, right? You can do like if you want to join these records, this table with other uh, other tables, you can do join also here. Just like here is like if you want to perform a join, right? So you can if you want now what you want now I want all the details of this particular year or like you can see there are 86 customers, right? I want all these customers, so how can I get just join again? Like we will get, if you want to join then you can use this table sales order as od on. Now I have this dd right with me, so od od sorry, od on od dot dd dot, we have to filter the year, so I can mention order year equals to, now from this od I will take I will take order year, right? So I have to extract the order year, so to extract the order year what it is coming, yeah, dd, okay, so d on, then dd dot order year equals to od dot order date, right? But this order date has a whole date. I don't want that part. I want only year. So that I can do a join. Now if I put a select star here, right? That is dd dot star comma od dot star for the stick symbol, and let me exhibit this one. So you will get the all data where order date is 2017. Okay, you will get all the data or 2008 only. You can like you will not get the other record. So this is a, I mean it doesn't have any logical sense. I just want to show that like you can do a join on this table. Okay, so there is no like an logical sense here. Okay, I just want to show you you can use join, you can do another other operations on this derived table also. So the next topic is variables. So basically variable is a object in a SQL server that holds a single value for a like any data type. If you specify a particular data type, it will hold that data type's value. Or for example, if you have declared a variable called integer, then you will get it will hold the value of the integer variable. And if you have declared the other like characters, then it will hold the character values. So then like where this variable is so when you if you want to perform a loop like while loop, you want to go certain steps, right? Like if you want to print 10 numbers from 0 to 10, then at that time, or if you want to get a particular result for a particular value, then these variables are declared. So to declare a variable, you have to use declare statement or keyword, and then in SQL Server, you have like this at the rate symbol. Okay, is used to declare a variable, and then the variable name, and post that you have to declare a data type of that variable. So here the declare statement initialize a variable by assigning it a name. So in our case, this AMP ID, right? This declare statement initialize this at that AMP ID to an integer data type, and then if you haven't assigned any value to this variable, then by default it has a null value. Let me show you that part here. So we'll declare a variable. Let's consider order ID in our case, and this order ID is an integer data type. So what I will do, I will input int. Okay. So the first important thing is while declaring the variable, this at the rate symbol is must. Okay. In this case, the order ID is a variable and its a data type is integer. Now, what you want, if you want to declare more than one variable, how can you declare? This is the single variable, and if you want to declare one more variable called customer ID, right? Cust ID, then data type is again integer. So by like you can declare multiple variables separated by commas. Now, if you want to assign a value to a to this variable, okay, it's to assign a value variable, you can use a set statement. So set keyword and then like use a variable name and equals to symbol. Now what I will do, I will assign this value to this variable. So the value of the variable is now this one. Initially it's a null. I will show you. Okay. So let me to get the values of the variable, you can use select statement. Okay. Select, then use this variable, the name of the variable, and just execute it. See, you can see null values. Okay. And even you can use the alias to this variable also, order ID. So you will get order ID as null. And what if I want to set a value, then what I will do, I will set a value. Let me execute this statement. See, now the value of the variable is 10252. So you can set the value to a variable using set statement. There are other like you can set the value to a variable using select statement also. I will show you that too also you. And okay, let me, okay. Now what can we do? Like we will try to use this variable in our select statement. Now what I want, I'm not using this customer ID, so I will put a comment on that. I want the order details whose order ID is this one. Okay, so how can I get? Then just a select star from sales dot orders where order ID. See, this variable is contain order ID. You can like give any name. Okay, instead of the order ID keyword, you can give OD underscore ID also, or you can give order underscore ID, but you should mention at that symbol. Now it's not necessary to give the same name as column name. Okay, so to just bifurcate or to distinguish between the variable name and the table name, I have kept a order underscore ID as order ID. Now what I will do, I will pass this order ID here. So now this order ID has value this one, right? So what it will does, first we have declared this variable. We haven't assigned any value to it. By using a set statement or set keyword, we have assigned this value to this order ID, and this order ID is used in the where clause. And let me execute this. You cannot execute only like SQL statement. Okay, to execute the this query, you have to select a uh, whole part from the declaration of the variable. Okay, till the end. Let me execute. I will get the order ID. So earlier, like if you want to get these details, you can use. Oh, sorry. like both the outputs are same, right? You will get the output same, but this is a static. Suppose this statement is used multiple times in a query, then every time you have to change this value, right? Like if there is one more example, for example, instead of the order id, what I will do now, I will take a customer id. Let me take this customer id, copy. I will copy this one, new window. I mean, it is not a necessary, like if you have declared the variable and it is not used in the below part, uh, don't worry about it. There is no hamper, but it's not good practice. So it's a, if you are not using it, just remove it. Like in my case, I was not using that. I'm not going to use that variable, so I will remove that one. Now what I will do, I will use a customer ID instead of this order ID. Let me execute this query. So, oh, why this system two times? Okay. So you can see this customer ID has placed six orders. Okay. Now what I want again the customer details also. Okay. So we have a table called sales.customers, right? Customers where cust ID equals to at that cust ID. In this case, see if I want a customer details, right, by using the single statement, I have passed value only once here, okay, but I am using this variable multiple times in a query. So if you declare a variable only once, you can use that variable in a single uh, uh, window or a single session multiple times, okay. So that's the use of the variable. It basically avoid rewrite, or it is used to like if you are working dynamically, uh, that time it is used. For example, if you are searching your balance, okay, and if you are or if you are looking your if you want to modify your bank details or address based on the customer ID, the this is the query they might wrote at the back end, okay. This will give you all the details, but at the rate customer ID, so that suppose today I am like my customer ID is one, I am doing it. There is one more person, maybe his customer ID is two and he want to update, so instead of like hard coding, he like his customer ID is two, so he will put two in a search box and he will get the results of his details. Okay, so this is the purpose. This is the dynamic. Uh, this is used to search for dynamic data. This we just learned. Okay. Now, what if you want, like as I mentioned, so instead of setting this value, instead of using the set statement, by default you can pass the values to here. Okay, let me execute this. Now you are getting it. Let me just comment that part. I will execute this. So I am getting the result, right? Now what I will do, this is called as the default value. While declaring the uh, variable, if you assign few values, that value is called a default values. If you are not declaring any values to, well, if you are not assigning any values to a variable while declaring the variable, during that time the value default value will be null. In our case, we have defined the default value to. Now what I want this value to be changed. Okay, so instead of like I will 3 here, I will use 3 here. Now I will get a record of 3 customer. So this 2 value will be overwritten by this 3 value. So, like you can override the default value by using a set statement. Now, what I want a customer details who has placed a particular order ID. Now, instead of the I will go for the order ID here. I want to check who has placed a particular order ID. Order. Okay. Let me take this one. See now I'm not sure who has placed this order, right? What's his details? What's his name and all? Okay. I want that part. Okay. So what I will do, I will take this order ID. Will put here. I will declare one more variable called at the rate cust ID, and instead of setting the value, I want dynamically set that value of this customer to this ID. So what I will do, I will use cust ID equals to cust ID. Now, and that customer ID will be passed here. Let me execute this one. It's not coming. Okay, yeah, because I haven't declared the variable. Okay, the data type. Now let me execute this one. Let me show you first how it works. Okay, I will execute this query. See, I'm getting this customer ID. I was not aware. Like I am just searching who has placed this order ID 10249. Okay, so I am passing that order ID. Now, by this order will be placed here, and based on this order ID, I will get a customer ID. I am using that customer ID here. So from there, this 79 will be assigned to this customer ID, and that customer ID will be passed here in this query, and then we will get the details. So sometimes if you have called to an Amazon or if you have ordered any product and you have called to customer care, they ask your mobile number. Okay, so what they will do, like there is, there will be a box, search box, and they will put your mobile number or unique data, and from there they will pull the data. So at the back end, such kind of query will be used to get the details. Okay, even like based on the order details, right? Based on the order number, they can get the uh, customer details, or based on the customer details, they will get the order details. Now I will do a reverse part. Now what I want, for example, I want to, instead of the order ID, what I want. Okay, customer ID. Yeah, we have seen that example. Okay, so let me do one more thing for you. Okay, this is the one approach you can set directly values to this customer ID. But if you try to use a star operation, or if you put the other fields here, you will not get a result. Okay, so to, if you want other values to be part of it, then each and every values need to be assigned to a, each and every value need to be assigned to a variable itself. Okay, and there is one more thing. If this query is returning multiple values, then you can't use this variable. Okay, you can't assign the values to a variable. So only one value will be assigned. Let me show you. So there could be a like, let me take this example. What I will do, I will put one here. That is my customer ID. Let me comment out this code so that it will not get executed. Now, what I will do, I will put customer ID, right? And I want to get a order ID. So I will remove this and I want to assign a value to this order ID variable. If I execute, like you can see there are six orders placed by this customer ID 1. I will pass a customer ID 1. Now that customer has placed six orders. Okay, let me execute. Oh, sorry. What happened? Ah, select order ID. You will get only one order ID. Okay, you have seen there are more number of the orders, right? So it will take the latest of, oh, it's not showing. uh, Instead of the star, let me put this way. So this is the latest one, right? Sixth one. So base like here there is a primary key on the this order ID field. Hence it is taking the latest one. But if there is no primary key or any other key, in that case, randomly SQL server will pick a particular number and it will show to you. So that number will be the latest number. Okay. So in this case, it is showing me this particular order ID. But if you look at the data, this customer ID 1 has placed more than one values. Okay, so keep in mind that one also while working. Okay, there is another way. Like you can assign the values this way, or you can use again uh, select statement. Let me save this one. So here we have used like at that order ID and then particular order ID. Let me do sales customer ID. Just customers. From there, study custody. I want a particular order ID. Then what I want the customer details. Select star from sales customers. Where customer ID equals to customer ID equals to where I will pass a customer ID. This customer ID I will pass here the customer table. Now let me execute this. So you will get a more number of like okay. The customer ID is 1. So the customer ID I will pass here order ID. Okay. So let me take any order ID from this table first. I will take this order ID. We put here. Though I have assigned customer ID 1 right here, I will get, let's see the what is the customer. Okay, just one. Okay. So let's see this customer ID. What is the customer ID of this already? 68. Okay. So let me execute. But here I have passed the default customer ID 1. It will be overwritten by this customer ID. Okay. And you will get a customer ID 68. So this is the one thing. Now there is another way. Like you can use this way, or you can use a set statement. Set, then use this one equals to, and then put a bracket around this. So the earlier query was this. Now what I will do, I will use this one, and same query I will write it here. Now I am using set statement with select. Okay. So it will take that particular customer ID, it will assign here by using set and without using set. So these are the two ways again. So you are getting the same result, right? So this is all about variables. Okay. If you want to print a value of the variable, you can use like select then at the rate first ID. You can, if there is one more variable, you can use at the rate order ID. Okay. Now what if you want? Let me go back a little bit. What you want? You want a order date also of that particular order. You can declare that also here. Let me show you just order at the rate OD date. Okay, date time. I will mention the data type, and I can assign a value here also at the rate OD date equals to order date, and you can get this value here. What was the order date? So this was the order date. This is the, like, you can give the alias. So this is the cust ID, cust underscore ID. Then this is order ID, and this is date or order date. You can execute it. See, you are getting like this is the customer, this is the order date, this is the, sorry, this is the order ID, and this is the customer. Sorry, order date. Now, if I want the plain message, okay. Now, what I want a plain message like customer ID 68 has placed order ID, the particular number and on particular date. So, how can I write that? So, I will use a print statement. Print this customer ID, then plus for concatenation has placed an order ID. The order ID, what is the order ID? This one is the order ID. Then plus on, then on this date. I will get an error. Why I will get an error? I will let you know. See, I got an error. Conversion failed when converting varchar value that has placed an order ID and then. Why? Because I'm trying to convert the integer value with varchar value. So if I want a message, that time I should use a cast or convert operation. Here I will use a cast operation. Then again I will use the same for this order ID also. There are, okay, even for the date and time also I got it. Cost. But you will be wondering, right, why this message is not. I haven't got any error, but there is no message. I typed this message. So if you want to check the message, this is the message. Okay, you can like do proper alignment. Has placed an order ID. This one on July 12, 16. Okay, if you want a proper conversion rate, like then you can use convert instead of this. You can use a proper format also where char the order ID then 112. I'm not sure whether it will. Yeah. Okay. So now in this case, see you got this data right. So if you put another number, then probably will get certain another value. See 68. You can mention the customer ID. Okay, instead of cost, we can put a message customer ID. Customer ID. What is this customer ID has placed which order? Okay, there is no concat symbol involved. Yes, I was getting an error. See, customer ID. What is this customer ID has placed a particular order ID and then the message. So this is all about variable. Now, why I like? I mean, these variables are mostly used during store procedures or like if you want to store an intermediate result and like for example if you want to get a max date and based on that max date if you want to perform certain operations, right, or if there are multiple operations involved based on a particular variable during that time this variable is used. So today we'll stop it here only. Tomorrow I will cover store procedure. So thank you for connecting.